It's amazing to think about that God would know all of the people of the world and not a single one of them would be the same. I just pulled up a website, and there are 6,789,000,000 people on the planet, and that God would be fully aware of them as He is aware of you and I is sometimes beyond even what I could think about. But the Psalms are really clear about what they tell us. In Psalm 139, it says, "O Lord, you have examined me and know me. You know when I sit down and when I get up. Even from far away, you understand my motives. You carefully observe me when I travel or when I lie down to rest. You are aware of everything I do." A little bit later on at verse 14, it says, "You know me thoroughly. My bones were not hidden from you when I was made in secret and sewed together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw me when I was inside the womb." Gosh, it's an amazing thought to think that God would know us that way, and He would know our children that way, that we really are unique individuals made in the image of God. Well, you're going to have a chance this month to talk about the individuality that God has placed in all people. And I want to refer also to another verse, just as you think about that this month. One of my favorite verses is in Ephesians chapter 2. I'll start reading at verse 8 just because it's worth it. But the verse I want to get to is 10. But 8 says this, "For by grace you are saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it's a gift of God. It's not from works, so that no one can boast." What an amazing comfort that is to know that God expressed His love in such a way that when we respond to His offer in faith, in what Jesus Christ has offered us, we are embraced by His grace, and it is flowed down into us, and His love it just covers over our sin, and Christ's work is complete in terms of the redemption that we get being bought into God's family. But here's the verse I wanted to kind of look at with you. It's verse 10. It says, "For we are His workmanship, having been created in Christ Jesus for good works that God prepared beforehand so that we may do them." And this word for workmanship is poema. It's a word that actually means masterpiece. We get our English word poem from it. And it's as if every single thing about you and your children, every single thing, God purposely put in place. If you've ever tried to write a poem and labored over the different words that you would use and trying to find something that would rhyme with the word that you finished the last sentence with, and the effort of, no, that word won't do, and how special, after you've labored through it, how it feels when it all does come together and the rhyme and the rhythm really does work. There's something beautiful and masterful about that. And it says that God took that same care in making each of us. And just to affirm into your child, I know there are things that are special and wonderful about them, and I know there are also things that are a little bit frustrating, especially if those things are a little bit like you. In our home, both our sons ended up being pretty different, and the one that was most likely was the one that was most likely to frustrate me. And sometimes the ones that are most like you tend to frustrate you, and you see some of those things really clearly because you've lived with it for many years. But in the midst of that, God can take all of that by His grace and redeem it and use it in wonderful and amazing ways. As you work your way through this curriculum, just being able to embrace, and what an encouragement and a fine thing to know that you are made in the image of God, and to impart that to your child. And that he gets his worth not based on what he does, not based on what people say about him or how they feel about him, not how much he can accomplish or what the world might offer, but he gets his worth based on the fact that he is an image bearer of the living God. What a truth to embrace. What an amazing thing to try to pass on. So as you talk this week or this month about how everyone is unique and individual, you can also say that God's special care was involved in the uniqueness of each person. You'll have a chance this month to talk about people like Onesimus, whose name meant useless. What an amazing turnabout that was for God. Epaphroditus, who put his life on the line and risked it all to represent some people and serve Paul in a wonderful way. Dorcas, this wonderful woman who had a terrible name. I'd like to be named Dorcas. This wonderful woman whose reputation was so well known throughout the community that when she died, there was this humongous sadness. The people in the droves just kind of came and went to Peter and says, "Help us! You got to help us, poor Dorcas." And of course she gets raised from the dead. God will use every unique part that we have. In fact, I'd encourage you this month to take a look at 1 Corinthians 12, where it talks about the different parts of the body. Romans chapter 12, where it talks also about the different parts of bodies, that we're all different and unique and individual, but also there's this wonderful beauty when we come together, strength that gives God great glory when all the parts operate as they were intended to and created to, and do their part. I hope this will be a month that is full of joy as you encourage and pull out of your child the amazing gift of being an image bearer of God, created especially the way they are, to serve Him for His purposes. Have a great month.